My dear friends, today I would like to share my thoughts about Baba Saheb Ambedkar's idea of national building of independent India, his vision, contribution and caution given to us. There is a saying that some people are born great. Some people have greatness thrust upon them. But some achieve greatness on their own, and that is true as well. Baba Saheb Ambedkar belongs to this third class, who attained greatness by his sheer efforts, coming from humble origins, with all pervasive inequalities, discrimination, social and economic, and rose to world-famous eminence and towering personality in contemporary of India. Why India? In whole world for that matter. He is a great patriot, educationist, economist, lawyer, social thinker, philosopher, political reformer, and writer with progressive outlook and ideas, and influenced every aspect of Indian society by his unending pursuit for knowledge, fight against every form of discrimination and inequalities prevailed in the Indian society. Baba Saheb Ambedkar, as a social reformer, believed in social transformation of Indian society by evolutionary process through peaceful and constitutional methods. He was opposed to violent and anarchic methods in social change, as it hinders the tranquility and creates chaos in the society. He emphasized that the social change and social justice in Indian Orthodox and Indian religious system, which is the offshoot of Manusmriti and Varna system, are very critical to egalitarianism that the nation like India must aspire it. He stressed on national building on much broader notion of stable reconstruction of the country with inclusive growth and cultural integration without caste discrimination and social inequalities. That's why he constructed safeguards in the Indian Constitution for establishing a more equitable society to the millions of oppressed and depressed classes. He strongly believed that the political institutions are responsible for reforming the existing social setup and institutions using legislative force to yield desired results. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar is a freedom fighter in his truest meaning of the word, as he not only or merely was dreaming of setting India free from British rule, but also wanted to transform India into a country where freedom holds meaning for every citizen. That's why, while participating in the Indian freedom movement, he also led battle too against social prejudices and inequalities within his own country, so that he was creating more equal world for all of us and not for few. Baba Saheb Ambedkar vehemently opposed to the theory of caste-based superiority and social discrimination as propounded by Manusmriti and Varna system, which resulted in vicious caste system and discrimination. He showed a way and proved through his life to all his followers that education and hard work alone held key for their liberation. He declared that you can change your lot, but do not flock to the temple hoping for justice to come you to in heaven. There is justice to be found on earth, and you can fight for it. As a chief architect of Indian Constitution, Baba Saheb Ambedkar was very outspoken about his idea of national building. He did not accept that India was a nation. Referring to some people's preference to the expression, the Indian nation, opposing the expression, the people of India, he declared that I am of the opinion that in believing we are nation, we are cherishing a great delusion. How can people divided into several thousands of castes be a nation? The castes are anti-national. In the first place, because they bring about separation in social life and generates jealousy and antipathy between caste and caste. But we must overcome all these difficulties if we wish to become a nation in reality. For fraternity can be a fact only when there is a nation. Without fraternity, equality and liberty will be no deeper than coats of paint. He further stated that nation, if it is to be a reality, it must vouchsafe that freedom of different classes comprised in it particularly those who are treated as servile classes. That means he considered SCs, STs, OBCs and minorities and women as the most servile groups which need special attention in the process of nation building. Baba Saheb Ambedkar, being a great visionary, he possessed great foresight about the future happenings and forewarned about the future of India if nation building process as enunciated by him. He is not adhered to or implemented, and today we are witnessing that his warnings are becoming true if we keenly watch the present prevailing political, socio-economic situation. Baba Saheb Ambedkar not only gave a scheme of nation building but also stressed on the following important principles to keep India's future safe. Number 1, people should have self-introspection. Calling for self-introspection by the Constituent Assembly on the day when the Constitution was passed, he told the Assembly that on 26th January 1950, India would be a democratic country. What would happen to the democratic Constitution? Will she be able to maintain its independence or will she lose it again? It is not that India do not know what is democracy. Will Indians place the country above their creed or will they place their creed above the country? Will she lose it a second time? I do not know. There is a danger of democracy giving place to dictatorship. By saying so, Baba Saheb Ambedkar called upon the members of the Constituent Assembly and through them the people of India to place the interest of the country or nation building over and above the narrow consideration of caste and creed, and warned if caste and communal considerations are given preference over the national interest, it may lead to the fall of democracy, giving place to dictatorship. Second one, importance of constitutional methods. Baba Saheb Ambedkar strongly believed that the nation building is possible only through constitutional methods and not by any violent and anarchy methods. He declared that if we wish to maintain democracy, not merely in the form, but also in fact, what we must do is to hold fast to the constitutional methods of achieving our social and economic objectives. It means that we must abandon the bloody methods of revolution. When constitutional methods are open, there can be no justification for the unconstitutional methods. These methods are nothing but grammar of anarchy, and sooner they are abandoned, the better for us. Third one, politics of pedestals, hero worship. Baba Saheb Ambedkar further said, national building and future of democracy faces threat from politics of pedestals or hero worship, quoting the caution of John Stuart Mill that who were interested in maintenance of democracy must not lay their liberties at the feet or even a great man, or to trust him with power which will enable him to subvert their institutions. Baba Saheb Ambedkar warned against bringing bhakti or hero worship into politics. He said, there is nothing wrong being grateful to great men who have rendered lifelong service to the country. But there are limits to the gratefulness. No nation can be grateful at the cost of their liberty. Bhakti or religion may be a road to the salvation of soul. But in politics, bhakti or hero worship is a sure road to degradation and eventual dictatorship. In other words, Baba Saheb Ambedkar rallied against Indian tendency to engage in hero worship by entrusting limitless power at the feet of one individual. Are we not witnessing in the present day politics this kind of situation? The apprehensions voiced by Baba Saheb Ambedkar are not visible and becoming a near reality in the present days. Number 4, social and economic democracy. According to Baba Saheb Ambedkar, the process of nation building and strengthening Indian democracy will not complete, or such a goal can be realized by a mere political democracy. He underlined the importance of creating not just political democracy, but also a social and economic one. Therefore, he said, we must not be content with mere political democracy. We must make our political democracy the social democracy as well. Political democracy cannot last long unless there lies at the base of it a social democracy. Social democracy means a way of life which recognizes the liberty, equality and fraternity as principles of life. We must acknowledge that there is complete absence of two things in Indian society. On social claim, we have in India a society based on principle of graded inequality. We have a society in which there are some who have immense wealth as against many who live in abject poverty. To achieve the social and economic democracy, Baba Saheb Ambedkar envisaged equal participation of oppressed and depressed classes, minorities and women in all aspects of nation building. He wanted to enact and implement laws empowering Indian women such as the rights of marriage, inheritance, etc. and drafted a Hindu code bill to empower women, but the conservatives opposed the said bill and it was not passed by the parliament, resulting in his resignation from the Nehru cabinet in 1951 in protest. Number 5. Government by the people, to the government, for the people and of the people. Baba Saheb Ambedkar's statesman qualities, wisdom, vision and knowledge are clearly reflected in each and every article of Indian Constitution, which consists of 395 articles, 22 parts and 8 schedules. He preferred a parliamentary system to the presidential form of government. He strongly supported federal system. Though on the face of the Constitution appears to tilt towards a unitary character, he said, Constitution will consist of union at the center and the states at the periphery, each endowed with sovereign powers to be exercised in the field assigned to them respectively by the Constitution. In normal times, it is framed to work as a federal system, but in times of war, it is also designed to make it work as though it is a unitary system. Baba Saheb Ambedkar stressed the transformation of Indian society into one of having equality in all walks of life and participation of all sections of the society, including women, in nation building process to be called as a nation, as mentioned in the 5 above important principles which just now I have narrated to you. For strengthening Indian democracy, political power should not be a monopoly of few, depriving the downtrodden classes their chance of betterment and participation in the governance, which can be done only by the establishment of equality and fraternity in all spheres of life. That is why Baba Saheb Ambedkar said, on 26th January 1950, we are going to enter into a life of contradictions. In politics, we will have equality, and in social and economic life, we will have inequality. In politics, we will be recognizing the principle of one man, one vote, and one vote, one value. In our social and economic life, we shall, by the reason of our social and economic structure, continue to deny the principle of one man, one value in all walks of life. We must remove this contradiction at the earliest possible moment, or else those who suffer from the inequality will blow up the structure of political democracy. The other thing which he emphasized was the principle of fraternity. According to him, fraternity means a sense of common brotherhood of all Indians. Indians being one people, it is the principle which gives unity and solidarity to social life. Finally, Ambedkar declared that independence is no doubt a matter of joy. But let us not forget that the independence has thrown on us a great responsibilities. If hereafter things goes wrong, we will have nobody to blame except ourselves. If we wish to preserve the Constitution in which we sought to enshrine in the principle of government of the people, for the people, and by the people, let us resolve not to be tardy in the recognition of evils that lie across our path, not to be weak in our initiative to remove them. That is the only way to serve the country. I know of no better. He further said, Constitution as it is workable, it is flexible and it is strong enough to hold the country together both in peacetime and in wartime. Indeed, if I may say, if things goes wrong under the new Constitution, the reason will be not that we have a bad Constitution, but what we'll have to say is that man is wild. That means that it is the people or leaders who implement the Constitution are bad and they are responsible for the wrong that takes place in implementation of the Constitution of India. He was of the strong opinion that the traditional, superstitious and religious values should be given up and new ideas should be adopted. He laid special emphasis on dignity, unity, freedom, and equality in all spheres of life for all citizens, and for him, social justice means maximum happiness to the maximum number of people. The Baba Sahib Ambedkar's idea of nation building India into a nation requires establishing the rights of every section of society which comprised it, especially the rights of erstwhile excluded groups, means the oppressed and suppressed classes in the Indian society for generations together. From the nation building process, by implementing fivefold path which I mentioned earlier. He wanted Indian nation to be built on democratic and constitutional methods, upholding the trinity of liberty, equality and fraternity in a parliamentary democracy. In the light of what I said now, how the things are going on in the present Indian political and social and economic spheres of life, we have to examine. The obvious answer is there is a disturbing trend. And there are disturbing trends which are affecting the idea of nation of Baba Sahib Ambedkar and the evolution of nation building process of India, causing anxiety to all the sections of the society who believe in the Indian Constitution and its core principles of liberty, equality and fraternity. What we are witnessing today, alarming trends undermining the constitutional values, its institutions, statutory bodies created under the said constitution and which are thoroughly being diluted and subjugated to the political executive, and rising communal and religious divide and hatred, undermining the very unity and integrity of India as a nation, reminding us the four warnings given by Baba Sahib Ambedkar. So my friends, it is time for all the right-thinking citizens of this great country to rise from the slumber and overcome the narrow-minded communal prejudices and unite to defeat the designs of authoritarian and narrow-minded communal tendencies and who are attempting to convert India into theocratic and majoritarian state, undermining the federal spirit and the rights and liberties of its citizens. It is the high time for every right-thinking citizen of this country who believe in the core principles of the Indian Constitution and its past, a glorious history, to face the present situation and rise up to the occasion to protect the Indian Constitution and thereby the whole Indian fabric itself. Thank you. Jai Bhim, Jai Bharat.